and welcome back to another episode of Let We Hear from Doc. I'm your host, Amanda Japal, and with me is the one and only Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Claudius Mitchell. So, Dr. Mitchell, how are you today?
I'm fine. Looking forward. I missed the program. I missed it yesterday. I wanted to be here yesterday, but we on, and that's the most important thing.
Well, we always miss your stories,
Yeah.
but let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
Throughout your career, you've inspired admiration and respect from many persons. So, what do you believe has been the key to building the connection with the people?
I think probably my demeanor of respecting every single individual as one of worth, and irrespective of their social strata. I think that's a fundamental aspect of my whole approach to people and life. And I think that has to be a major reason for it. And I think also people have seen me operate in different spheres, whether it's the academic world that I was in. My students used to say, but you don't behave as the other professors. And I remember walking into a classroom teaching to graduate students at Howard in operations research and statistical models and so on. And I walked in with a shirt and pants and the slippers, and I sat down there. And they were saying, the teacher not coming. So when I got up and I got to him now, everybody. But afterwards, so you don't look like, you look like one of us. And I started speaking to them in that way. And I think the relationship I developed, they see me as someone they can reach too. Remember, as there were several classes, for example, you're doing calculus, and you have about 5 or 6 professors teaching the same subject, but different classes at different time. And you will see my class over 70 odd student, and some of the other professors' class, you see 15, 14, 20. And some people leave in other classes because students will communicate. And I think it has nothing to do with the fact of the material. I think it's how it was presented. And I suppose I made myself available to help those in need. And I think they felt the human touch. So whether it's in academic life, as I mentioned, in sports, as captain of Grenada's cricket team, I captained the Windward Leeward youth team and so on, and played Windward Island cricket. The players always gravitated because of the relationship and how I react with people. So it's not a boast about, but that's a personality issue. And I think because I feel that I'm not better than anybody else. So I always feel that no matter what position I have, the average person, the person who may not be in the position that I have, they have the same level of responsibility in terms of the capacity to do things. May not be the same like me, but they can also make tremendous contribution. I think and in the political field, I mean, when I rose from General Secretary to political leaders because of the relationship. When I was Minister of Works, I reached out to people, and I never I never felt that a constituency was different from another one or better than another one. I never felt that a person, a road in a community was more important than another road. So everyone was given attention. There's some things that had to be done before others based on other economic and other political and social consideration, but not necessarily based on strata and so on. And I remember well the story of going to, I was invited to I was Minister of Works in the 1980s. I was invited, because those days all the roads in the country bad. You couldn't know which one to start, where to start. And I was invited by a group of middle-class, upper-middle-class persons in Lansepine to look at the roads. The roads are terrible in Lansepine. And I went down there, I met them as, I never forget that place, that hotel close overseeing in Lansepine. I try to remember the name, and it will come to my mind just now. And I met them there, and I spoke to them about the resources of the country and told them, yes, we are prepared to help and so on, but they would have to help because the government resources are limited. So I'm prepared to help them because all the roads in the country. And I made the point to them. I said, listen to me. When I leave you here, I'm going to a place called Pearls in St. Andrews, where hardly anybody working. And I said, I am very happy to do whatever I can with you guys here, but you're in a better position than these people. And I'm telling you straight, and it's not to put down, but it's just how I feel by being honest. When I bring a road to Lansefine, I feel happy. But I feel happier when I bring a road to the
To
people in
Pearls.
Pearls because they never had it before.
Yeah.
And because of the strata and where they come from and the fact that they never had services. So that was the kind of thing that gauged my mindset over the years. And I think there's a lot to do with my own upbringing, my family connection, and the fact that we had a tough life growing up. And the struggles I mentioned in other programs we've done. So I never see myself better than anyone else. I feel whatever I'm doing, I feel like if it's it is a responsibility that I have, and no one owes me anything. No one owes me anything for what I've done for them, because I feel that God has given me some ability and an opportunity to contribute in the way I'm doing. He has made me and given me the ability to succeed in many areas, whether it's academic, whether it's sports, whether it's social life, and so on. So I feel I have a responsibility to impart that to others. That's my responsibility. If I don't do it, then I would have failed my responsibility as a Christian and as a human person.
Dr. Mitchell, managing the pressures of 100,000 people, that's a lot. It's not a small feature. How did you stay grounded and focused?
Well, I think, don't forget, I lived in the United States and worked in the United States. So I've worked for institutions involving millions of people involved.
Right.
I traveled all over the world. When I was a consultant in my field of mathematical statistics and solving problems for government and institutions, where I made resources. I mean, when I taught at Howard, the salary I made at Howard, the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 per month I get, it was a joke. I mean, the real money was in the business community, solving one problem and getting $50,000, that sort of thing. And I think because I had that opportunity to help make so many contributions in so many different ways and travel, whether it's Nigeria and Uganda and all the different African countries and in consultancy, working for them and working for the World Bank as consultant, going through those areas. I felt that, whatever the size of the population, it is the contribution, the knowledge you impact going forward. And I thought that coming back home, because of the smaller size, I think it was easier for me, because it's not only that you reach them in mass surroundings, you also meet people one-on-one, and you're able to understand more the effectiveness of your contribution, and not just the money that you made from the contribution, which is what it was for me in the wider community abroad before I came back home. So I would say I was not that difficult for me. I would not say that was that difficult to make the contribution in Grenada that I had to make, because of the size of the population. It was not that difficult because I had been able to do so in much larger community, and effectively so in terms of the results of what we achieved and how it brought me personal rewards at the same time, but me acclamation from regional and international institutions.
You said you're glad. Well, no, not you're glad. You're upset that you missed the program yesterday, but I am happy that it happened today. Let me tell you why. We had a scenario inside of the parliament today, so I wanted to get your take. What do you think of the decorum of parliament today and the behavior of Grenada's prime minister?
Well, I don't know. The prime minister is going to be who he is, and that's what we have. A man cannot be something different from me, what he was. Nobody knew the prime minister before he got into politics. I did not know him personally, and I was prime minister for several years. Um, and it's because he stayed in an isolated area as a corporate lawyer. You never heard his name mentioned in a community organization. You never heard his name mentioned in social activities. You never heard his name mentioned within a football organization or cricket activities. You never heard him involved in any scientific or intellectual organization activity. I mean, so his entry into politics comes from a very limited perspective. So he looks down on people. He has a approach. When he talks in Parliament, it's about the Jesus Christ is speaking, and everybody else is talking nonsense. And if you listen to him, you can't see the value of the thought process coming from it, because of my own experience. So I'm not surprised. He seemed to be in another world, different from the people of Grenada. I shudder to understand how this guy would behave when he loses an election. Because he's up there. He has no understanding of what's taking place on the ground in the country. And it's unfortunate for the country because he's making decisions, he's talking to people. Like you make a decision. The population can't do this. You can't play music. Nonsense. I would play music. Send the police to arrest me. Nonsense. Who are you to tell me what to do on the days of an election? But it's this mentality, the arrogance, the superiority of the mindset. And everybody is the little children. We are his little children. Even if you have 30 years experience and he has 0. Imagine in Parliament, the Prime Minister stop there and watch me and tell me, you fool them once and you fool them twice, you can't fool them again. I say, no, I fool them 5 times. And I say, but you haven't get a chance to fool them once, you'll find out. He didn't say another word. Could you imagine the stupidness of the statement, the shallowness of the thought process? This man standing apart, watching someone that has been prime minister for 23 years, that won 5 elections, and 6. The first time was as a minister of government. And watching me and almost implying that I have not done anything, because he said that nothing happened in Grenada since 1983, In other words, NMP did not exist, so the people voted for me all these times because they were stupid. Because this guy was so bad and wicked and everything was wrong about him, and the people were just blind. So he's now the savior coming to save the people, so to speak. And I just watched the poor guy and said, he's in a dream world. It's a sad, sad state. And I remember when I initially congratulated him, I did remember telling him, don't make fool of the Mitchell name. And he laughed. He said, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't. But he's doing a very poor job. I think whenever I go someplace and a child will say me, Mr. Deacon, I say, no, please don't call me Deacon. I am Keith. I don't want to be him. We live a different life anyhow. My life is far different from his life. We don't have the same taste and habits.
So what is your perspective on the Prime Minister's alleged secret trips to Dubai?
Well, I think the population, people have to be concerned. I'm sure if it was Keith Mitchell, you'd hear a loud cry. I ask myself, and people expect the opposition must be the one to ask. No, the opposition is just one part of the society, one group in the country. When we are in government, we trade unions to be making noises. Where are the trade union leaders today? You can't hear them. The man talks down to trade unions. He bypasses the leadership of the trade union movement and goes directly to the workers, almost union busting. And you're not hearing the voices of those people. I remember the business community. Look at the state of business in the country. The shopkeepers are in trouble. Nobody's making money. All shopkeepers will tell you they're selling nothing. The retail sector in St. George's, in St. Andrews, and other parts of the country, Carriacou, will tell you that's the worst they've seen it. You know, you talk about the activity of the farmers, the fishermen, all sectors of the society are under pressure, not feeling, and you're not hearing the voices. We are speaking, and I will continue to speak. But the question is, where are these voices? And I can tell you this, because people allow politics to interfere with a duty. If you are a union person, you ought to do things based on what is happening to your trade, your workers. And therefore, when the trade union made noises, and had all the demonstration, when we were doing a lot to improve the lives of the workers, I was not hostile to them, because I feel that's their right. But I question now, where are those voices? And I want to tell you this. I wrote the president, and I will say that for the first time, and I'll repeat it again, of the Trade Union Council, Andre Lewis, a year ago, asking for a meeting. He never replied. Up to today, he has not said a word. And when I tell other members of the union, they say, well, we've never seen it. I say, well, you ask him. That is the level of biasness. That is the level and the mindset of certain people that claim they are responsible and interested in workers. I'm saying it here today because they have to call it out for what it's worth.
So will the opposition demand a full inquiry into this matter?
Which one?
The matter of the secret trips to Dubai.
Well, we certainly can do so, and I think that's our responsibility, and that's something I certainly speak to the political leader and to ensure that is, because something like this is far-reaching if we do take that position, and it has to come from the leadership, the guidance of the leadership going forward, and that's something I would certainly do. But it has to concern us, because many of these trips, I understand, are private, taken. No announcement has been made to the country. Although when the Prime Minister returns, you don't hear a report on what he went for and what has been achieved for the country, not for himself, for his friends. It would have to be for the country. You don't get any reports. And I'm saying, if I had done something like that, man, in my time, you would have heard the amount of noises. I never left the island without giving a specific detail why I was going. And when I returned, I reported an example. If I was going on a private trip, I never asked for government funds. I never took government funds. And I never went to the country longer than 2-3 days, because I didn't believe, officially, because I don't believe that. And in fact, travel, Amanda, was not my big thing. As I told people over and over, I lived in hotels when I was in Washington, traveling all over the world. So the hotels and the plane ride. And I never was a friend of plane. You know, I only go on travel with planes when it's absolutely necessary. So if I could not travel and have to travel on a plane to do any business, and I could do otherwise, I would be doing otherwise. That's not my thing. I'm not a very good traveler, and I don't like plane rides.
How do you feel about the fact that the government hasn't read the budget?
Well, I don't know. All I know makes a lot of sense. That your fiscal year ends December 31st. To me, it makes sense, logically, if you're thinking of proper planning and so on, that it makes sense for you to be able to have the end of the year coming to plan your program with the public service as the Minister of Finance, and have your data in place. And by November, you should be able to have a finance committee meeting, and then what the adjustments that you have to make, and we have to have consultation with the business community, with the trade union. You don't hear nothing like this. We don't just go and present a budget. We listen to the farmers in the country. The public servants, the minister would have a meeting with the farming community, with the fishing community, and so on, and different sectors of the society. And from there, based on their ideas and some of the things they say, you will see inputs on the budget based on the discussion that we held. But everything that comes on this budget about the Dick Mitchell and the Prime Minister, it's not about the people of the country. It's about what he thinks that they needed. And I heard about this foolishness about citizenship by invitation. I mean, what is that? I would like some serious explanation. And again, that's one of the things we will have to ask in Parliament. Citizenship by invitation, and you come through the Prime Minister. Everything is about this guy. It's not about the country. Because you remember he said it's more important for him to talk with the country only get recognized when he speaks.
Leverage
Who
himself.
is he? Who is he? Where, according to people, where he been? All this time when we were making progress.
Where did they?
Where did they? When we were making progress and when we were bringing rural electrification. So I said to him when he said something about nothing happening in Grenada, I said, you wouldn't know, you were sleeping like a little boy. When we were bringing electricity around Langton Breath. The telephone you're using today, you know who brought it? But this new National Party and the minister responsible for the whole OECS. It was the NNP's leadership that were responsible for negotiating with Cable and Wireless to reduce rates and to diversify the telephone operation in the region. That's why Digicel and other companies were able to provide and have the reduction in cost of telephones. I mean, he was sleeping at the time. If he was born already, I don't know, sometimes. So that is the kind of level of ignorance that you see coming from the top person in this country.
Can you tell us what are the potential consequences of not having a budget being presented at this time of the year?
Well, I think it will force them maybe. To me, it reduces the ability of stakeholders, different sectors, to plan appropriately for the incoming fiscal year, because you don't know about what the major plans of the government. Maybe if the government has a major project, you never know, and you expect you will be planning as a business person involved in that particular area you'll be planning. Maybe the retail sector might be saying, based on what they've seen, they might be able to make some arrangement for future importations in the country and hiring of other people. So it has implication for the government itself because it affects its own planning process. It has implication for the business community. It has implication for the farmers. It has implication for all sectors of the society. So I don't know what the thinking is. And it seems like I get the impression that no one else in the government has a say as to what is going on. It seems that the Prime Minister alone decides everything. So he's traveling, he has no time for budget. That's the impression you get. So when he settles and he comes in, then you have a budget. And then he leaves again. So it seems like the other members, I wonder how the other members feel with what appears to be a one-man show. And they used to accuse me, but I can tell you this. My team could tell you that there were thorough consultation. And whenever I left the country, decisions were made. They never waited on me to be back to make any serious decision. The acting Prime Minister at the time, if there's a major decision they want to make, he will call me. And then I'll say, no problem. But they don't have to wait on me. Government is a continuum. And therefore, no matter who is in the island at the time, whoever is in charge, and the rest of the government, the cabinet, should be able to make decision. Clearly, no far-reaching decision will be made without at least some communication to the substantive Prime Minister of the country.
I think that says a lot about the priorities of the government and its ability to actually manage the affairs of the country. So I think that's something they really should pay attention to, because it looks bad on their part and it doesn't seem like they're noticing that at all.
I don't think they have a feeling, and I shouldn't say they, because I don't think it's fair to the other members of the government. I really think it's him. They don't seem to have a say.
A one-man show.
Yeah, I believe if you corner the guys, I have not very little relationship with any of them, but I believe if you corner them, I don't think they would want to disagree that what some of the things that are happening is not necessarily right. But it appears that they don't have a say. He makes all the decision. and he tells them everything. In fact, he tells a certain individual, as reported to me, that I'm responsible for you being here. Without me, you would not have got elected. Could you imagine you telling me that as a member of parliament? That without me, I was considered to be someone who won several elections, but I would never be foolish enough to tell a member of parliament that I am the one responsible for you being elected. That's absolutely foolish. Arrogant and foolish.
Um, it speaks to the type of leader that he is. Not even a transformational leader or anything. So, just maybe you should give them some advice as to not
Me
what a
advise,
good leader.
I couldn't, for me, a sinner could advise baby Jesus. No, come on. No, sinners
Oh
can't
God.
improve. Baby Jesus in a wall of his own. So, why not leave me alone with this one, yeah?
Oh God. So now, so let's forget about all of
Yes,
this,
that's
right?
right. I agree.
If you can go back
Yes.
to your younger days, what is
Mm.
an advice would you give your younger self?
Well, but let's face it, in anything in life you're doing, there's always decisions that as you grow older, you would have done certain things differently, and that's life because you don't have the experience. And for example, would tell my present political leader, and do not be afraid to make tough decisions. You may not always be right, but let me tell you something about human nature, your people. Even when you make a decision that they don't necessarily like, they might criticize, but they will respect you if they believe it comes from your heart and that it means well. And if you make a decision and you realize it was wrong, admit it was wrong and move in another direction. And that's a message I certainly believe it's important for advice I will give any young person in whether it's business you go into, whether it's sports, whether it's politics. Always remember that you can't please everybody in the decision that you make, and that you have to do it with after doing all the consultation that you can do, and when you finally reach a conclusion, you make the decision, and hopefully that it turns out to be the right one. And I think as I would always say that yes, some things that we did and could have done better. Some decisions were made in government. If you had in hindsight, if you had more information, you'd have make a different decision. But that's life. None of us are perfect, and the worst thing you can do is to not admit when you make an error in anything. Be man enough to say yes, I was wrong. And in that sense, I believe that's one of my strengths, the ability to admit when I falter, and I think it's important. I don't know if I ever gave you this story about the public servants that I had sent home in 1995 when I just came into government.
No,
I didn't give you a story.
no,
Well,
no. Do tell.
I consider that I came into government in 95 the first time, and I had difficulty with the public service, getting things done, and I was given some advice, and I moved and get about 5 public servants sent home on leave, and few people in the couple in the religious community and business came to me, and I offered them the opportunity to speak to me privately, and they were able to tell me that some of them they believe it was the wrong decision, and gave me why, and they named the persons. And after I examined thoroughly where the information came from and what I was told and what came out to be facts, and I realized I was wrong, I called the individuals into my office and apologized to them. And I didn't just do that there. I told them, since the decision I made was a public decision, the first opportunity I get publicly, and that was Thanksgiving in 1995, I would apologize publicly
Mm-hmm.
and during my national address with the public, some of the public servants
Mm-hmm.
there, like I invited them, I apologized to them for the decision I made. You know, people call me after as a prime minister. I've never heard a prime minister apologize publicly.
Mm-hmm.
Put somebody in your position. But you know, as if a weight came off my stomach
Yeah.
because I felt I free up myself. And to me, when you admit an error, you lose nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Little children try to pretend that they were not wrong when they know something they did is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Big men admit their errors, and that's how I felt. I lifted myself out of that bondage and was able to speak freely about the fact that I made a mistake.
While we're on the topic of mistakes and criticisms, you've been trending a lot. I believe you're probably one of the most trending individuals in Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. Every now and then we see a meme of you. Every now and then there's a joke, you know. So how do
They
you
must talk
deal?
about me. We hear certain calypso and they can't sing without me, you know. Some of them, since I left, since I'm no longer in office or having any position and I gave up leadership, some of them can't even sing a calypso now. They can't compose anymore without me. And I used to tell them that, I say, Guy, you must sing another song outside of Keith Mitchell because when I leave, you won't have anything to, you won't be able to function. And it's turning out to be so. I wouldn't say who I've spoken to. A few of them I've spoken to, but I'm turning out that I was correct. No, but I think I'm just driving in the street. I think guys are just calling you out, you know, because I suppose the way I deal with people, you know, Amanda, one of the things I feel proud about, even in my own constituency, I have no enemies, you know. The people that never voted for me, even when I got 91% of the votes in 1999, they still had people that didn't vote for me. But none of them could say they ever came to me for a service or some opportunity, and that is the responsibility of government. And I've refused. Even personally, I've helped some of them. I know they never voted for me. But that's my life. That's how I live. And I would meet top NDC people, and I laugh with them and we joke, you know, and so on. And I tease them about some comments that they make. But that's life. I don't keep people enemies for politics. I don't believe it's right. And I always challenge people not to hate your brother for political party. You could differ with me. But if someone hates you, let him bear that burden. The hater is the one that is hurting, not the one that you hate. So if you want to go hating people, inside of you are being burnt, and you are the one suffering more than anything else. I've been clear on that particular thing. So that's how I live my life, and I feel, and that's why I'm at peace. I tell people so easily. Some of them are thinking that I like to power. You will never give up. I've said over and over, I wanted to win the last election, and I wanted to move out of the position of prime minister in the 50th anniversary celebration. After that, you know, if I had won the election, you would not be talking to me now as prime minister. It's highly unlikely, unless there was some disaster in the country, and so on. People didn't believe because they have this strange view of me. And that's why some of them that were saying he will never give up. No, I don't know. They don't know what to say now because I've done it, and I'm happy. I'm at peace, and I will continue to make my contribution. And some people just say, "Oh, Doc, you could leave." I say, "Listen, I've not left anything. I'm still there. I'm still willing to make a contribution." I offered the present government, the prime minister, when I call him, that anything dealing with government and advice, I was prepared to help the country, not the party. I'm not interested in NDC, but I'm helping the country. So I told him I wouldn't give him political advice because I'm head of political party. But if there's an issue of value to the country, where the country will benefit, not the NDC, they may benefit politically, but my first interest is not NDC or NNP. My first interest is Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. And that's how I live my life. And I feel, as I said, I'm at peace with that position, and I will continue to do precisely this.
To Continuing back on the same thing, to a young upcoming politician or an upcoming leader, what advice would you give to them in regards to dealing with criticism as it comes?
Well, let me. Anything you're doing in life, especially the higher up you go up the ladder, expect more criticism. So if you don't want criticism, don't get involved. And especially in something like politics, is ultimate power. If you can't take licks politically and otherwise, don't go. Because it will come.
Yeah.
If you're thin-skinned, like the present Prime Minister, he should not be in politics. He should be in something else. Because he reacts personally. He'll pass, you'll vex, and everything like that. You shouldn't be there.
Childish games.
Childish, petty, low-level stuff, you know. And so I'm saying, that would be one advice I'll give. Don't take yourself too seriously. Realize that you're just another human being. And God has given you some gift. And he has given you certain positions. But don't take yourself so important that you feel every time somebody disagrees with you, something is wrong with them. Because something is always wrong with all of us some given time. And that's what we have to understand. Just listen. Sometimes you would have to get, and you're a human being, you get vexed sometimes. I do too. But as you assess what was told to you and what you have to put it in the pot and stir it, and then you'll say, you know, she may have been right here and wrong here. So accept the part that she was right and throw away the ones that you believe that she was wrong. And that's life. But don't get vexed with to the point that you don't want to talk to her, you don't want to deal with her, and so on. And that's my problem with people in general, and when you criticize them. So I said I can't support you for political leader of my party. You vex? What are you vexing me for? That's my responsibility. I was the one who made the initiative when you wanted to join the NNP, and I got licks for my members and gave you a chance. So I took the licks. When I saw the behavior patterns I call inconsistent with what I perceive to be good leadership or personality or character, I took a strong position. And you can't be vexed with me. In fact, I told the individual that I do not trust him. And he told me he understands. If I tell you, Amanda, that I don't trust you, and you want to, you aspiring for certain position that you know I have some kind of input in with, and that individual should understand this. And I tell you, I don't trust you. The first question I think you would ask me is, why? The individual said to me, I understand why you don't trust me. I could not believe this. That's why I said, some people should not let me speak. Because I don't know, a lot of people speak, and you see the free I am now, where I'm not in any position and going back into government any position, so I don't have nothing to worry about. I talk in my mind.
You have nothing to lose.
They should not interfere with me, say nothing about me, because if you open your mouth, Doc can talk. And Doc talking now.
I understand. I understand. I mean, this one caught me off guard. Because he understood why you didn't trust.
Well, he said he understood. So I don't know what all this big thing about now. I don't hate the brother. I don't, honestly, genuinely so. I find socially he's a nice person. Politically otherwise. For leadership, no, I don't see leadership. I didn't see, and I told him so, I didn't see leadership. I was very clear. I don't know what else I can do, and therefore I think it's my right. And when I wanted leadership and I was going forward for leadership at the NNP, the number of people told me they couldn't support me. I wasn't vexed with them. Later on, when I earned the position, many of them supported me in government. And that I was never vexed with them. And you cannot vex with someone if they tell you genuinely so that I cannot support you for a certain position. that's their right and responsibility.
I think the individual probably thought you would have changed your mind.
Well, I could have. But if you tell me, you understand why I don't trust you. I don't know there was much room for change. Unfortunately. So, anyhow, that's the nature.
Well, Dr. Mitchell, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you understand that. So, guys, thank you for watching, and like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Yeah. Until next time. I
hope you want to get a few people vexed with me from today's program. Get more vexed with me. I kind of vexer.
But I hope you understand why they're upset.
No, tell them don't get vexed with me. Just say that Doc is talking. That's Doc's right. Doc is just talking.
Well, we hear from Doc, so we're hearing from you right now.
Doc, I'll continue to be. Do it so. All right. Okay, my friend, this is a nice program. I love it.